So, I ask you, how can running teach us some really great tips about watercolor? I know it sounds strange, but just stick with me. I would say the question that I get asked the most on this channel is in some form or another, what tips would I give to someone starting in watercolor? Or someone who is trying to go back to watercolor after leaving it for some time. You're probably wondering at this point, why did I include running at the beginning of this video? Well, I actually used to run a lot back in college, and recently I've started taking it up again and noticed very similar struggles that I'm having currently in running that I actually used to have in watercolor after kind of letting it go for a little bit and then coming back to it. So the very first tip that I recommend is get back to your basics. Similar to running, you need to stretch yourself and get yourself back into the groove. You can warm yourself up in 3 different ways. The first way is practice your washes, such as a flat wash, gradient wash, and even a variegated wash. The second way that you can actually warm yourself into watercolor is by practicing those basic techniques, such as wet on dry, wet on wet, and dry brushing. And the third way that you can actually warm yourself up into watercolor is by remembering one brush can equal many strokes. If you're new to watercolor, you might actually be surprised that you can actually do a lot with just one really good brush. The king and most prized of all watercolor brushes is the round brush. This brush is known for a springy point, which is great for detail work, as well as its ability to absorb a lot of water and paint within the brush. Personally, I recommend using a size 12 and practicing a variety of strokes, ranging in width, length, and even style. This technique is actually key to getting your hand and eye to work in sync with one another on the paper. Now, the second tip that I recommend is going to be short and sweet, and that is keep a log. Just like with running, sometimes you can forget the progress you've actually made and get really weighed down when things don't quite go as you originally planned, or you, let's say, just had a really bad painting. There are 3 logs that I actually like to keep and encourage me when I hit these rough patches. The first one is a sketchbook. The second is a paint log, where I like to keep notes of my paints and how they work with one another, as well as work with other supplies that I own. And then finally, I like to keep a written journal of what I'm feeling and also what I've learned over the years while I'm going through this painting experience. By keeping a log of your progress, you are actually better able to see how far you've come over the years, as well as pick up on some elements that you might need to improve on in the future. So be patient with yourself and steadily progress forward, celebrating all of your accomplishments every step of the way. Now, before I get into the last tip, I actually need your help for a future video. I've once again added a poll to this video in the small eye in the corner up above. Make sure to vote. Would you like a future illustration on this channel to be of a bunny or a dog? I'm kind of curious as to which animal you would prefer for me to paint in an upcoming video. Okay, back to the final and, in my opinion, the most important tip of the day. Tip number 3, luminosity is key. So what is luminosity? Well, one of the reasons I love watercolor so much is its ability to look light and airy, almost as if it is popping off of the page. Another way I like to describe this is the paint kind of tints or dyes the paper rather than sitting on top of the paper. This is known as the luminosity of watercolor. Oil and acrylic can't achieve this same desired look for one key reason, and that is because they aren't transparent. This is why most watercolor artists prize transparent watercolor and semi-transparent watercolor as the best paints that you can own. These colors are fantastic for layering, also known as glazing, and are really great for just creating those nice blended gradients that watercolor is also prized for. Now, I do want to clarify, this doesn't mean that I don't use opaque watercolors or I think of them as like trashy watercolors. That's not true at all. I actually do really love some of my opaque watercolors and I prize them for the colors that they can produce. But I have to admit, when I am approaching a painting, I'm usually going to lean more towards my transparent watercolors over my opaque ones unless I'm trying to achieve a certain color. And those are the tips for today. If you would like to learn more tips like this, make sure to check out my beginner's watercolor course. I'll link it down below, and also sign up for my newsletter if you want to learn more helpful tips. I'm going to be sending out more newsletters in the future. So if you want to be on that newsletter list, make sure to sign up down below. Anyway, for time's sake, I'm going to cut this video here. If you would like to hear more beginner tips in video form, make sure to hit the like button and let me know that you actually liked this topic and would like to see more of this type of topic on this channel. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so and hit the bell if you want to know when I upload new content. As always, y'all, it's been a pleasure, and I will see you in the next video.